Are you that wrestling fan looking for that perfect television package to meet your needs? Well, Real Aid Media has the perfect option for you. With the Wrestling Box promo, you pay for the box for $199.95. After that, you're only paying $29.95 per month with no contracts and no obligations. Real Aid Media also provides marketing services operating in 5 countries. To book an appointment or to get your wrestling package, go to stevenbenzelock.bookify.com. That's Steven Benzelock at bookify.com. Check it out. Real Aid Media, providing great wrestling content for a cheap price. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Jordan Garber Now podcast. And tonight is our big interview with none other than local wrestling standout Scott Ripley. I recently refereed Scott Ripley's match last Friday here in the west end of Winnipeg, Manitoba at, I believe, Louis' show. And honestly, what a great match he had there with Jude Dawkins. And I thought I would interview him, bring him on the show, because he is definitely a bright future in the world of Winnipeg wrestling, and he's already traveled to Indiana and to West Virginia. So we're going to hear more from Scott Ripley up next on the Jordan Garber Now podcast. Are you looking for cards for any occasion, whether that's weddings, birthday parties, or just straight out for fun? Well, check out mytradingcards.com, and they can create any trading card for you. The official trading card of the Jordan Garber Now podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, before our Scott Ripley interview, I actually have a word from none other than Lawrence Fosworth III. And he has a show coming up here on Friday, October the 30th. Once again, at the Sudanese Center at 129 Dagmar Street, featuring Wavell Star. But man, your first event, what a huge success that was. It was absolutely incredible. How did you reach that turnout, and how did everything turn out for you in the end as a promoter?
As a promoter, it turned out great. I paid the bills. I'm happy. I broke even. I'm not going to lie to people. I broke even. I paid all the guys. Both sides were paid, my side and my business partner, Rob Steele. So we're happy with each other. We got out there. We did what we said we were going to do. We ran a show. We brought in some amazing worldwide talent. The talent was incredible. I'm amazed, and I'm just, I don't know what to say. I'm very happy with the show, and we're going to be running another show October the 30th.
That's going to be really huge. You know what? Compared to any other wrestling promotion in the world, why should the Winnipeg wrestling fans check out this show on Friday, October the 30th, featuring Wavell Star? What is the one reason? Give me 2 reasons why all the fans here, not just from Winnipeg, but from across Canada, should check this out.
Because Wavell Star is a former Ohio Valley wrestling superstar. He hung out with Kenny Bolin, the manager of Champions, Real Champions, and as well he hung out with Al Snow back in the day, and he was also working for Tony Condello, the best promoter in the world back in the day.
That is true. I worked for Tony Condello as well, and Lawrence Fosworth III, thank you very much for being on the Jordan Garber Now podcast. We're going to get you back on next week and talk about the matches for this great event, all right?
Thank you very much there, Jordan.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is none other than the Jordan Garber Now podcast, the last Jordan Garber Now podcast here taped in Studio 998, and our last guest here is the honor to have is Scott Ripley. Scott, welcome to the program.
Oh, thanks for having me, Jordan. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today.
Absolutely. And, you know, when it comes to you, the motto, hard work pays off, definitely comes into play. You made your debut in 2018, and you're going strong here in 2020, getting opportunities left, right, and center. But when you started out for the CWA there in 2018, you know, you did all this training, you did all this investing. Like, what was the program like? Because this is something that I'm going to get my introduction with, and it's a very similar style and schedule, but with AJ Sanchez and some other local Winnipeg guys. So how was that training experience getting to the first match? And when you were in the ring for the first match, this was it. Were you ready or were you not?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I trained with Lance in Calgary. That was an interesting experience for sure. I mean, 3 months, 5 days a week of just straight wrestling every day. I mean, isn't that every fan's dream to for the whole day of your life, you're just doing wrestling for 5 days a week, no work, no obligations besides that. I mean, it was a great time for sure. I mean, so before I got in the ring for CW, obviously I trained with Lance, so I did matches with Lance. I did matches with my fellow colleagues in the ring there. It was an interesting experience for sure to be able to get in there with a guy like Lance Storm, who's so well regarded in the industry and so talented. So I mean, like before I stepped in for CWE, I'd already had done this 3 months, 5 days a week. So just putting in that work every single day, getting up every morning, going to the gym, going to training, and that's all my life was for 3 months.
So, that Winnipeg adjustment was definitely easier, coming there from Lance's school, which you were trained by. We actually have a lot of guests. Most of our guests are actually trained by Lance. We had Bobby Shink on, who is trained by Lance. So,
Yeah.
like I was beginning with the Winnipeg thing, like when you got there, I think you were pretty much ready for your first match. And when it was Lance Storm, that style is so different. Look who's come out of that school. So, it's usually like I heard stories where the school starts with 20 people and you're done and there's like 5 left. So did you see a lot of cut downs in your class at the beginning, or was it something that everyone stayed on board for the whole get-go?
Yeah, so we had 3 people that left throughout our training. One guy from New York, he was talking tough at the beginning, and within 1 week, he said he was a professional boxer, and within 1 week, he'd already quit. So he was clearly not a professional of anything. And then we had a couple other guys that just felt like it wasn't for them after like taking a couple bumps. So, yeah, we had 3 people in total that had quit from our class.
And that's the thing a lot of people think when it comes to wrestling, especially if I learned this when I was a fan from Beyond the Mat I always learn how hard the training is, because there is this story on Beyond the Mat. This guy was a well-respected drill sergeant in the military. This guy did it all, drilled commands to people, did all the commands, paid his dues in the military. He walked into wrestling school. He quit. He became a ref. He couldn't come out as a wrestler. So it's very physically demanding, and the way to survive it, in my opinion, is that heart and that passion. If you're gonna talk shit at the beginning, then the odds are you're not going to survive the program, because you don't know what you're getting into. And when it comes to you, it hits you way harder than it would to somebody who's quiet about it. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, like it's a unique experience for sure. I mean, it's something I would never trade for the world. Just even be trained. As a wrestling fan, I would just recommend even just do the training. I mean, just to understand what you're watching it gives you a whole different perspective.
Now, we talked about AJ in the beginning, helping you get there. We talked about even before the Winnipeg development with Lance, the very beginnings. Now, let's talk about a really good guy who's helped me a lot, and has pretty much been one of the first people I've been introduced to in wrestling through my media production broadcasting class in high school. This guy is friends with the best in the broadcasting industry. He's helped me, motivate me into becoming a podcaster, and that is the Coach Kelly Russell. This guy took you on these roads. He's taught you so many things, and for someone with that knowledge working with you, I watched your promo where you're eating the Timbits and lifting up the water jug, and I'm just saying, this kid has a shot somewhere. And this Kelly Russell, this guy is literally an encyclopedia of Canadian wrestling. And what was it like working with that guy?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great experience to work with obviously a manager, especially at the beginning. You're trying to learn the ropes still, to have somebody to help you guide you along for sure. He's a great businessman, but he's also a great manager as well. He's been a wealth of knowledge. I mean, just did a couple trips down to the States where he drove, and just listening to his stories for a couple hours about Tony Cadello, and just old school wrestling. It was a fun experience for sure.
Absolutely, and that's a sidetrack now to Canadian Wrestling's Elite, pretty much the number one wrestling promotion here in terms of popularity and on paper. Canadian Wrestling Elite, you're debuting for not just the biggest company in Winnipeg, but this company has, especially look at the evolution since 2009 of this company. Every single year, the Danny Duggan or Danny Warren CWE has always taken it a step further. The first year they brought in Bryan Danielson and Mento. They had an absolutely main event. The next year they brought in Sanjay Dutt and a few more Ring of Honor guys. Next year they're going on tour. It's consistent, something new every time. So when you're working for a company with that evolution and game factor, how hungry is the competition around there?
Well, it's awesome. Absolutely. I mean, like, just speaking to that, like, so I remember, like, one of my first shows I ever went to, I wanted to go see Sid Vicious. I went to a CWE show. Sid Vicious no showed it, so he did not show
I remember
up,
that.
unfortunately. But what actually happened on that show was obviously Jimmy Jacobs came in to replace him. I didn't really know who he was at the time, but like watching his match was awesome. And then what really captured my imagination for wrestling, what at that time there was a TLC match on that show as well, between Chevy and AJ, I believe, the Sexy Beast, and I think I believe they're playing Robbie Royce and ATM, I believe, is who they're facing in that match. Correct me if I'm wrong, Garber.
Yeah, I believe you are correct on that, sir.
Yeah, and I remember watching that match live there, and I was so disappointed that Sid Vicious hadn't showed up. But I remember watching that match, people that I didn't really know, was never familiar with, watching this match, and I was totally captivated by that match. So that's just speaks to the volumes of CWE and how sometimes what you don't expect to be good can be amazing.
Oh,
And I think
absolutely.
yeah.
And I remember that. Like, it was all over social media with what's been going on with Sid Vicious, and he got a lot of heat. There was even a promo done by, I think at the time, the executive shareholder, the Mecha Shane Madison, creating a whole angle about this thing. But I remember when Jimmy Jacobs came to the show, honestly, it almost felt like it didn't even matter that Sid was there anymore. And you know what? That's just the magic of wrestling right there. It's not really about the name factor sometimes. It's just about the teamwork that a whole crew puts together. And I think the audience really appreciated not just that, but the storytelling of how they were just trying to get through this show and create a good result. And what did it create? An even better one. So, that was the time too where I kind of got back into things as well, and I took the podcasting and journalism side of the business. And I'm really glad I did. Are there some regrets? Oh, absolutely. I should have done more. But I think as a podcaster, that's where I belong, and that's where I'm set out to be. And that in 2012, that's kind of what kind of explained that for me. Doesn't mean I can't do other things in the business and explore like what I'm doing now, but I just love sitting in this chair and talking to names like yourself because of those shows like that, because I see the passion there. A name will never make my show, but a good story always will. That's for sure. What were some good shows in 2018 that kind of you highlighted in your first year there? What were some shows and some guys that you worked that you had some really good chemistry with that you could really take with the next level?
Well, I mean, like, there's so many. I mean, obviously, being able to work people like Mentolo, who's so unbelievably talented. My first year was really just trying to learn the ropes and like really trying to understand what wrestling was and like what it's when you're in your first year, it's almost a blur with wrestling match wise. So just being able to get in there with people that are really talented, like AJ, Mentolo, and Danny, people like that. So it makes it a lot easier on yourself. So definitely just being able to work people that are actually know what they're doing, especially when you're that fresh in your career and you don't know what you're doing, and obviously still don't know what I'm doing, but still trying to learn. So.
And the best part about the business is we could be still workers at 85 years old, and like we'd still be learning. I'm not going to say workers. I'm sorry, you could still be a worker. I'm not saying that title yet. You could be a worker at 85 years old, and you can say, you know what? I'm still learning something new. And I could be a podcaster at 85 years old and say, hey, I can learn something new about this business. And that's just the amazing part, especially when you travel. It's like you did to the United States. And this was pretty cool of this year, right before the pandemic. Thank goodness. Thank God that was a few months after the pandemic. But you guys faced the Murphys, Cameron and Carson Murphy, for the legendary, this is unbelievable, man, IWA Mid-South, a Winnipeg guy going to IWA Mid-South. You also worked against you teamed with Dragneel and then worked Danny Duggan and Hunt Cassidy. They were team beef that night. So what were your thoughts on that whole, United States experience for the first time? Not just in Minnesota or North Dakota or Wisconsin, where a lot of the local guys go, but you're going to Indiana. Like, that's like deep in the Midwest. What's the whole difference like, man? What's the whole game plan?
I mean, it's a totally different world out there. Going to IWA Mid-South was a totally interesting experience for sure. Like, just going into that venue, obviously, Ian Rotten's pretty infamous man in wrestling. So Getting to meet him, he's a very nice guy to me, from all my experience with him. But the match itself, I mean, it was quite interesting just to be in front of a different type of crowd like that. So I mean, being that Mid South Wrestling, like it's a totally different area, totally different atmosphere for sure.
Awesome. And you also did the one in West Virginia, Huntington, at the Good Samaritan Methodist Church Community, so whatever it's called. You worked there. You did a match you teamed with Dragneel as the Canadian Bad Boys, and you faced the natural born wrestlers Chris Miles and Jamie Northstar. That must have been awesome right there in their hometown.
It was, yeah, but so they didn't take our real name, but me and Dragneel's real tag name is Swagneil. But
Swagneil.
we sent that one to them. We said that one to them, but they didn't. They did not put that on our list there of our name. That is our real tag name of me and Dragneel. But that was an awesome experience for sure. I mean, that was our first time tagging together. We had the whole crowd into it. I mean, the whole match. It was an awesome experience. I mean, that was by far one of the best experiences I had in the U.S. Was that match right there? Just the atmosphere was amazing.
And talk about, before we go more about the United States and some road trip stories here, I remember that one spot. Let's talk about comedy spots. It's really different because, you learn so many things and you're getting something new thrown at you. I remember there's this time at the Rumble, where I think you set the record for the most times eliminated and coming back into the match. Whose idea was that?
Well, I mean, that was like me and the coach. We're trying to keep it fresh and unique. So just trying to keep myself standing out as ways you can. Obviously, as a smaller guy, I mean, a guy that doesn't really, as a smaller heel, it's tougher to stand out sometimes. So trying to keep yourself unique and doing different things that people don't expect. So obviously, coming to the Rumble 4 times was a great experience. To the first 2 times, people don't really understand what's going on. Once the third time hit, I think everybody kind of understood what they kind of got at that point. So I think it was a really fun experience to do that.
Let's talk about working on the road. What are some of the first rules of the road that you learned, and what are some memories that you could always remember for you, take with you forever and remember?
Well, first rules of the road is get your driver's license. I didn't have my driver's license my first time going out, so just learning to get your driver's license and being a contributor to the road is a big thing. And just getting along with everybody, man, it's a big thing.
It was funny because I remember I was did a show in Thunder Bay. It was the Colt Cabana match I refereed in Thunder Bay, Ontario, in front of an amazing 20 people. And I remember I was supposed to navigate, because if you're in the front, you're the navigator. And Zach Mercury was driving, and we went to Lac du Bonnet, and he fell asleep. So I'm stuck for like half an hour, waking him up. I finally did. We drive. What do? I fall asleep for 5 hours. He literally get lost into like this other town, and like we're in the middle of nowhere. We get there right when the doors open. And like that's the first rule I learned of the road, like in terms of like how important it is to contribute. Because it's like you can't mess up, because if you mess up, you risk missing that bell time. Like you're going on the road to somewhere you've never been before. Like it's really different, right? That's something I always put into play. Let's say I like to do a top 3 each and every time. It's usually a positive top 3. Top 3 guys right now in Winnipeg that help you get to the next level and are helping you get even further. And go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, well, obviously, I think AJ is probably the top of that list for everybody. Because, I mean, just the fact that he's helping so many young talents right now with, if anybody's interested, Sanchez Wrestling Academy. He is training people. I would highly recommend, if you are in the Winnipeg area, to apply and go with AJ, because he is very talented and he will teach you everything you need to know. My biggest mistake that I made before going to Storm was not getting a little bit of training first. So I wish I would have done that before. So AJ would definitely be number 1 there. Guys that like help me in the ring. I mean, Chevy is probably the most talented guy.
He's amazing.
He's unbelievable. So learning from Chevy is awesome. Then obviously, there's Danny Mentolo. I mean, I'd probably put them in a close second there because, Danny, he keeps me employed. And Mentolo is so talented in the ring, so.
All 3 of those guys you mentioned are great. I'd say Chevy cares so much. I he cares so much about this business and respecting it. I learned it this Friday, and I got to give a shout out to him. Actually, he's been on this program before. Thanks, man. You know what? You've always helped me toughen me up and try to make me get to that next level, and to invite me and to motivate me to go train. Do not many wrestlers do that. So thank you, man. I look forward to having a drink with you in the future, and I look forward to having you on again. Mentolo has been absolutely awesome too. You're talking about a guy that would sit me aside and, just simply talk to me, not just about wrestling, but everyday life. And Danny going out of his way to deliver me promotional materials or DVDs, driving out of his way, dropping it off, taking me on the road, teaching me so much. I'm going to miss a lot about this in Winnipeg. I really miss the scene, and I look forward to interviewing local guys each and every week. And, guys like yourself, you're not just going to be on the Winnipeg scene in the next 3 to 4 years. You're going to be, whether that's in Calgary or Newfoundland or even in the States.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, you got to interview guys like Sammy Peppers and Roy Cheeks. Those are 2 young guys as well you should interview.
Well, I think we could agree, and kind of go into a little bit of analysis here if you have an extra 5 minutes. For someone that kind of has a more mature perspective, but same age perspective, Winnipeg wrestling right now is literally the hottest thing going on in Canada. It's a hidden gem, and people need to not just check out the CWE, but they got to check out PCW. They got to check out CWA, anything that Winnipeg has running. WPW, you got to check it out because it's growing, it's hot, and we have imported talent coming from around the world each month. So there's not many other scenes where you have that. So you have to admit, you're pretty grateful to be on a scene like this one.
Absolutely. I mean, like if you, I think Jericho just posted an Instagram post. He put the Mount Rushmore of Winnipeg up there, and he said he can't rival any other town of Canada. And I agree with that. I mean, you think you got Roddy Piper, you got Chris Jericho, you got Kenny Omega. Even if you put Candido in there, that's a pretty nice top 4 that you have. So, exactly. I mean, compared to any other Canadian town, any other Canadian city, I think they're pretty unmatched. And especially right now with the whole circuit that's going on.
Definitely, it's getting stronger and stronger. Before we let you go there, Scott Ripley, do you have any social media plugs and words for our audience listening, not just from Winnipeg, but from Winnipeg to Calgary to North Korea to China, everywhere, man. Everyone's listening from around the world. What do you have to say to the universe here?
Yeah, I mean, my strongest thing is, like, I think we radiated before, it's like, if you love wrestling, I honestly would strongly, even if you don't have like a passion to get into maybe becoming a wrestler, just, try the training out. I mean, really experience what you're watching is a big thing. I mean, even if you just do the training and you never wrestle a match in your life, I think just getting out there and being able to say you did it is a huge thing. So I think just, which is the thing I never regretted. I mean, the fact that I got to be able to get in the ring and try it out is a huge experience.
Right on. Well, Scott Ripley, thank you very much for being on the Jordan Garber Now podcast.
Garber, it was my pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure. We got to get you on again sometime soon. Do you remember Real Aid Media? Well, the creator of that has another solution for you. Check it out. This is an emergency kit and a home safety evaluation for free. This kit has 180 pieces, such as a blanket, light stick, flashlight, cold pack, burn cream, and much, much more. This company is giving them away free to qualified homeowners, as well as a complimentary home safety evaluation for advertising purposes. The link available here is surveymonkey.com/r/204B. That's surveymonkey.com/r/204B. Check it out now. As you guys know, this is the second last episode that I'm going to be taping here in Studio 998. Actually, I have a 1-week extension before the Scott Ripley interview. So, I have to admit, I want to take time to say I'm sitting in this room right now. I'm looking at the walls full of photos, full of cards, full of everything. And I know that I have to tear all this down next week. But what a great run it was. 1 year here in the 998. And what have we done? We've reached wrestling news headlines. We've reached multiple press 3 or 4 times out of this room, interviewing the likes of Al Snow, Sabu, Who else is there? We got Luke Gallows on. That recently reached a lot of press. And Kalen Croft as well. Just so many names that were done in this room, and it just adds to this amazing legacy of the Jordan Garber Now podcast. Definitely the 998 is a piece of wrestling history, and I look forward to doing the podcasts in the new room. But in the meantime, I just have to take the time to say, Studio 998, you may have had some of the worst conditions, but the worst thing you guys didn't have was the memories. More Jordan Garber Now coming up next. Are you looking for the best vehicle for your needs at an affordable budget? Well, Hickman Auto Sales and Financing has exactly what you're looking for. Choose from a wide variety of vehicles like the 2012 Hyundai Tucson GLS, the 2016 Chrysler 200LX, and the 2020 Chevrolet Tahoe. All trades are accepted and paid off, and child tax, pension, disability, EI, social assistance, or self-employed are all approved. Low payments of $0 down. For more information, call 204-898-3511 or visit HickmanAutoFinancing.com. Tell them Jordan Garber Now sent you. Do you enjoy talking to your favorite wrestling superstars? Well, Jordan Garber Now has an opportunity for you. For only $5.99, you get to have a 10 to 15 minute conversation with any of your favorite Jordan Garber Now interviewees. Send me a Facebook message for more information. Are you a wrestling fan? And do you like collecting wrestling merchandise? Well, Hot Shots Retro Rewind and Wrestling Collectibles is the place for you. They have t-shirts, action figures, DVDs, and autographs available. Check it out. Hot Shots Retro Rewind and Wrestling Collectibles on their public Facebook group. Are you looking for your next best stop for professional wrestling interviews? Well, look no further. Turnbuckle Summits is hosting their Spring 2020 main event, April 1st to 3rd, 2020, and it is free. It is a $197 value, and you can get your free ticket now on turnbucklesummits.com. Listen to exclusive interviews with indie wrestling talent from around the world, get a glimpse into a side of their lives that you've never seen before, and hear their candid thoughts and opinions on the professional wrestling landscape. Go to turnbucklesummits.com for more information.
Newest and hottest in the world of pro wrestling? Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 6,000 hours of the best events from over 150 of your favorite promotions from 20 different countries around the globe. Brands like Progress Wrestling, Evolve Wrestling, Combat Zone, Defy, PCW Ultra, PWX, Over the Top, Shine, and hundreds of others with fresh content added every day for only $5.99 per month. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
You heard them. Use promo code POWERSLAM now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is none other than the Jordan Garber Now podcast, and we have a Winnipeg guest each and every week. We have that segment returning. However, this guy just didn't wrestle in Winnipeg. He wrestled throughout Manitoba, Alberta, the United States, among many other places. It's none other than the headline, Shaun Martens. Shaun, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm all right. How are you?
I am doing pretty good. I cannot complain. This is definitely something I was looking forward to. You are one of my favorite local Winnipeg wrestlers to watch on the scene, the times that you've wrestled here, so it is good to have you on the program. And not just talk about Winnipeg wrestling, but talk about developments with your career and the future for yourself. But it all started for yourself in 2010. According to my file here, it looks like there's a little bit of a gap between your debut here in 2010 and 2015. Officially, was your first match there for Real Canadian Wrestling in 2010. Is that a true fact there?
That's actually not a true fact. You're looking at Cage Match, obviously.
Yes, sir.
I had my first match for Real Canadian Wrestling in 2003.
Wow.
And
that's way off.
It is. It's way off. It's missing hundreds of matches. I wrestled for Real Canadian Wrestling in 2003, and I worked with them throughout 2003, 2004, 2005. And then I kind of left them, and I worked with some other local guys around the area here, Chance Bose and the XWE, which I ended up morphing into the CWC, and we did that from 2007 through 2000 and when did CWC close? Like 2 years ago. So there's some time gap in there. I had a pretty major injury in 2010, and that's actually probably why you see me kind of disappear there on cage matches. I actually fell at work, and my arm exploded, and I had major reconstructive surgery, and I missed about 5 years of my career because of this. But we're back strong.
But what happens to you when you're at that point in your career? You know, wrestling is obviously something that you're very passionate about, and I'm very passionate about. So when something like that happens to you, you know, does your world kind of just end all at once, or do you kind of take it a step at a time?
Well, when it happened to me, my world completely ended. Like, it really messed me up. There was a lot of, like, mental health issues that have set in that I haven't completely moved past through to this day. And, yeah, it was a very traumatizing and, like, absolutely terrible situation.
Most definitely. But you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And you're talking about those Canadian Wrestling Coalition matches. And another great guy that does come here to Winnipeg from time to time is a guy by the name of Jack Pride. A very respectful guy, a great talent inside and outside of the ring. What are your, like, thoughts on just starting out with the guys, like, not starting out because this was well into your career, but working a guy like Jack Pride, to throw the first name out there? How was he like? He must have been really good.
Oh, Jack Pride is an absolute anomaly. He's an absolute athletic marvel. He's very much so a natural. He can be a very intelligent and genuine human being outside of the ring as well. The stuff that he's doing right now with the Two Minds, the Wii stuff, he's very dedicated to his gimmick. He's very dedicated to his character, and it's really great to see that there's other people on the scene that are willing to put that kind of effort into their character.
No, most definitely. And that kind of goes to your character, headline Shaun Martens. Was that a work in progress? Like, how long did it take for you to come up with that? And how are the stages of development with you with building your character? Because that's everything in wrestling.
Oh, yeah, wrestling is everything character. Character-wise, I am still very much so in development. I think we're all in development until the day that we hang our boots up for the last time. It's something that came to me. It's like they say, you take little things from everywhere, you turn your own personality up. The headline thing came from a song I heard, and I was just thought to myself, I've never heard anybody call themselves the headline, so I kind of stuck that moniker on myself. It's been something that's been very unique, and it's something that's actually quite well remembered everywhere I go. And, yeah, we continue to grow from here.
In terms of, like, in-ring chemistry, what was, like, the year that you really kind of started to get the gist of in-ring chemistry? Because when I say in-ring chemistry, I don't really know what I'm talking about because I'm not experienced enough to fully know the definition. When you truly learned in-ring chemistry, when was that point, you think?
I think I understand what you're saying, Jordan. Honestly, I don't think it's been quite that long for me. I'd say probably in the year 2017 is when I actually started to really understand psychology and, like, in-ring chemistry. And, like, before it was always, like, kind of like what you see on the American independent scene where it's spam, spam, say bam, move, move, move. There's really no reason for doing anything. And then when you start to understand that what we're here to do is we're here to tell stories, everything becomes a lot funner and it's a lot easier. And hearing people's reactions, it's always going to be a work in progress, but I'd say about 2017.
Definitely. And that was a year, too, for you. That was a big year. You know, there was Pure Power Wrestling, there was still CWC, and there is Monster Pro Wrestling, which is another top promotion in Alberta. And you had a great, extensive experience there. For fellow interviewee, Lumberjack Larry Woods was on the program as well. And you had a great experience working with him at MPW. So just massive damage in the whole crew down there. A great coach, a great mentor. What was your own personal experience like for MPW start to finish?
My MPW experience was, for the most part, very positive, very successful. I'm very grateful for the things that Phil LaFon taught me. I'm grateful for the psychology that Massive Damage taught me. We didn't end on the greatest of terms, and I really don't understand why. It was just one day it was decided that I was ousted. I don't know what I did. But for the most part, I really enjoyed my time there.
Definitely, and it's a great promotion. It's a great way to have experience. And RCW, too. You know, I like how the Alberta scene, it's just like the Manitoba scene, big and strong right now. Real Canadian Wrestling. I did talk, actually, to Squiggy. I will be there to referee in October, so I'm excited to go down there. But Real Canadian Wrestling is basically where your roots are and where your home is. So, like, kind of just looking back at the memories of the company, are there any standout moments, or was, like, every night going out there just the best night for you?
Oh, there's a lot of standout moments. I don't know how much I can actually talk about on the air, but
you can say anything you want.
Okay, so probably the most positive memory that I have for Real Canadian Wrestling was actually I had my 18th birthday and I actually worked a wrestling show on it, and it's the only birthday card to this day that I still have from my entire life, and it's one that I got from all the boys in the locker room on my 18th birthday that I got. Real Canadian Wrestling. I think we were in Westlock or something.
So what a way to spend your 18th birthday is, too. And did you make your debut, too? Like, in-ring debut on your 18th birthday, you said?
No, I started wrestling when I was 16.
Oh, wow. That's... You know, when you start at 16, you know, I feel like it's good to start out younger, because I see a lot of guys now that are really good, but they're starting training when they're 30. And that's okay, but it just makes you wonder, like, what if they trained at 16? Like, they would be, like, probably 3 times as better. It kind of makes you, you know, one of my biggest regrets was when I graduated high school. I shouldn't have stuck right in the wrestling media, or I should have, but I should have trained at the same time. Now here I am, 24, scrambling, still trying to get that badge of training, and I'm obviously going to get it, because I'm going to work hard for it, but I feel like it's something that should be done sooner rather than later, and I'm sure you can 100% agree with that.
Well, I absolutely 100% agree with that. We talked about it earlier where I had that accident and I lost that 5-year period of time, though. Taking into account that 5 years that I lost in there was my good years. That was my 20s. So, like, I have those regrets every single day. I'm not getting any younger, and things aren't getting any better, so...
Well, definitely. I think when it comes to, you know, I don't know if you follow baseball, but they have a Baseball America top prospects list. And when it comes to wrestling, I feel like they should come out with publications to kind of headmark that. Like, I know they have the PWI 500, but I was always interested in a distant project and doing like a top prospect list. And definitely when it comes to Western Canada, you are the man when it comes to that. But you travel to the States too. So you worked...
Absolutely, yes.
You worked with the great Tony DiNucci, who I almost worked for. I just didn't have a ride to go up there. He's a great dude. And then Cloud9 Wrestling. So tell us about those two separately.
Separately, Cloud9 Wrestling was an excellent experience. The office was nothing but excellent to us. I can't wait to go back. I hope I get an opportunity to go back to Cloud9. AWF for Tony DiNucci, it was a good experience. There was some rough spots, but I hope I get to go back there as well.
Definitely. Anywhere you get to go, it continues to travel your name and creates your legacy further. Now, you know, you quit your career tomorrow. Say you're done. Something happens. What do you want the fans to remember you by?
I want the fans to remember me by being that son of a bitch that nobody likes.
Just that badass.
I want them to remember that I'm the best damn HIW Canadian Grand Champion that there's ever been. And I want the fans to remember they're King of Saskatchewan.
Well, if I'm in the crowd and you're walking in the ring, I might have to boo you because I might want to see that title change hands. Not now, but one day down the road that you did hold on to that title for a very long time. How many days has it been now? It's been quite a while.
Oh, COVID's a wonderful thing. I don't know how many days it's been. It's been 3 months, 4 months.
I would look on Cage Match, but I don't want to be 4 or 5 years off. So
Cage Match has missed that entire tour. Those matches don't exist on there.
That's crazy. But at the same time, it's like, that's the one question I always have. Like, I'm sure you guys have the same questions as wrestlers too. It's like, how do these people find all of this information? I get there's records and almanacs, and there's always a record of every pro show on hand through sabermetrics and things like that. But, like, how do people garner all of this information and actually create something? Like, yeah, it's not accurate, but it's pretty impressive how you can list a whole year of matches for, like, wrestlers from, like, say, Norway to Winnipeg. It's insane. But it's like, how do you think they do it? It's craziness.
They definitely have no lives.
Definitely. They're sitting there all day just watching probably wrestling all day, which is fine, but...
I assume it's 5 German dudes in a basement in like a LAN party looking up results all over the world constantly, 24 hours a day.
And it's creepy because they have all your information, they have your height, they have your weight, and then they'll like... Yeah, it's crazy. It threw me off a lot of times. It's funny because I've done a lot of interviews with wrestlers, and Cage Match has been a resource. And this is the 3rd time where I got someone's debut wrong. So maybe Jordan Garber might have to do a little more research, perhaps. But definitely, Cage Match is a great site, but I definitely think it could be utilized better. But where can people follow you on social media and any upcoming shows? Actually, before we get to social media, I forgot a question about the Northern Death Tour. I do have to bring that up because I did it. I got home and I just passed out for 21 hours. What was your experience on that tour? It's rough, and I'm so happy I got through it. What was your feeling when you finished it?
My feeling was disappointment. The fact that it was over. I could have kept going. I absolutely love my opportunity to work up there on that Northern Death Tour. It was my first real day-to-day tour wrestling every single day, and I can't get enough of it, and I don't ever really want to stop. I know some people find it exhausting. Some people, the conditions don't really agree with them. I didn't have any of those concerns or issues.
I pretty much got used to it. I just noticed like it was the last 2 or 3 days of the tour, and my body was aching. I didn't take a lot of bumps either. I was in one battle royal, and I took some clothesline ref bumps, some really simple things. And like just my body was aching. Maybe it was from setting up the ring every day. I don't know. But like by the time I got home, my body was aching. I laid down. But the point is I got through the finish line. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. You know, when you go through something like that, like I think it makes you stronger because. If you're going through a pain in this business or stress and you overcome it, it just makes you more confident in the end.
Right.
But where can people follow you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram?
I have all 3 of those. You could actually go to ShaunMartens.com and it'll list everything there for you. All my links will be right there.
Right on. Any merchandise you want to plug to? T-shirts, 8x10s?
8x10s and t-shirts are always available. Hit me up with a DM. I have the Metal Gear Solid inspired t-shirts still. There's very few of those remaining. Hit me up in a direct message in any platform you want, and I can get those sent out to you.
Right on. Well, it was an absolute pleasure, Shaun Martens. Is there anything else you have to say from our fans listening from Winnipeg to New Zealand to China?
Look for me on your local cards. I'm coming.
Sounds like a plan. Headline, Shaun Martens, everybody, on the Jordan Garber Now podcast. You guys are listening to the Jordan Garber Now podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify.